Welcome to NEXTGames, a guide to ninja series. In this episode, we will go over Elite Blade Shun Gearsets. Now Blade Shun responds very well to boosting dex and your attack stats. Due to this, the gear that is best in slot for it is not always the same when you are out with your trust as it is when you are hyper buffed and have a Geo, Bard, and Corsair in your party. Now I have used Langley's spreadsheet to find the ideal gear sets for both of these situations. Now first, let's talk about weapons. Blade Shun really excels when you use it with a Hishi Shuriken, and that is where your best overall DPS numbers will be achieved. It also allows you to self-light skill chain, which is how this weapon is able to pull ahead of the Kanagi in trust situations in overall DPS. Now the next best katana for Blade Shun is the Fudo Masamune on path A or B. In a trust situation, you would lose 375 DPS with path A and 401 with path B. In addition, you will also lose a lot of DPS here due to your inability to self-skill chain and therefore magic burst in trust situations, so please keep this in mind. Now if you don't have either of those, then the next best option is going to be the ambuscade weapon Gokutai, but you will lose another 150 DPS over the Fudo if you choose this option. Now if you can get really lucky with a Canaria augment with max triple attack, dex, and accuracy, you actually can do better than the Gokutai, but basically all other katana options will fall behind the ones that I've presented here. For your offhand weapon choices for Blade Shun, please refer to my episode 13 Langley's spreadsheet video where I go into that topic in depth. Now I often get asked how Blade He performs against Blade Shun. Well, thanks to Langley's spreadsheet, we can easily calculate those results now, so I thought I might quickly touch upon that. Now in a trust type setup, you're going to achieve 1942 DPS with the Hishi Fudo combination, and 1850 DPS with the Kanagi Fudo combination with AM3 up. Now neither of these numbers take into account SC damage or MB damage, which will allow the Hishi to pull out a little further ahead, but they really are pretty close when you're comparing the two Rimas in this situation. Now if you use non-Rimas to compare Shun and He, then the difference in DPS is normally very close as well, with the two hovering within about 50 DPS of each other depending on the weapons you choose. Now in a hyper buff situation, it's entirely different. This is where the Kanagi Fudo really pulls ahead of the Hishi Fudo combination. With max buffs from Bard, Geo, and Corsair, you will have 4,547 DPS with the Hishi Fudo combination, but 5,893 with the Kanagi Fudo with AM3 up. And even if you only have AM1 up, for instance, with that combination, you're still going to achieve 5,639 DPS, or almost 1,100 more than with the Hishi Fudo combination. So this is really where that one excels. Now once we go into non-Rima territory again for weapons, and we're hyper buffed, just using a Fudo on path A, the difference becomes significantly less, and now Blade He is doing 4,513 damage, with Blade Shun doing 4,208. So that difference has now been cut down to a little over 300 damage, so it's not nearly as important. It really is that Kanagi that makes Blade He really excel. So really, if you're solo with trust and have a Hishi, I suggest you use that along with Blade Shun for slightly more damage than using a Kanagi with Blade He. Now when you're hyper buffed, the Kanagi with Blade He is going to pull way ahead on damage over Shun, so make sure you use that. Now if you use any other non-Rima katana and can self-skill chain, then go ahead and use Blade He, as that's going to lead to better overall damage because of skill chains and magic burst. Otherwise, your overall damage output numbers will be fairly similar between these two and will be situation dependent. Hope that cleared it up a little bit. Onto the gear. First, let's go over the ammo slot with the buffs that you'll have with your trust out. Now the best in slot in this situation is going to be the Arglomer Orb +1. Its Strength 7, Dex 7, and Attack 10 make it best in slot here. However, it's quite expensive. It usually costs 100 to 120 million gil off the auction house. The second best is the Vluspa Tathlum in this situation. It's got a Strength and Dex bonus of 5 and an Attack bonus of 10. Now you can get this from Domain Invasion for 1,000 points, and it's only 7 DPS lower than the Orb, so it definitely is a much cheaper alternative and easier way to get this for this slot. Now the third option is the Cathpulug Stone. It gives you a huge dex boost of 10. You can get this from the Kate Sith HTMB. Now if you use this over the Orb, you're actually going to lose 19 damage per second. Now the interesting thing is if we change to our party buffs configuration, well then we no longer need that attack because our attack is capped. Therefore, that's where the Keth Polug Stone comes into play, and its deck plus 10 is best in slot. This is followed by the Orb, that is only 5 DPS behind it, and the Tathlum, that is only a total of 16 DPS behind the Keth Polug Stone. So the Stone and Orb definitely take the best in slot prizes, but the Tathlum is definitely worth noting considering it's so easy to get and really is not that far behind in either of these two situations. Now when it comes to the head slots, we have two definitive winners for best in slot. When you have trust buffs out, you want to wear the Adamar Bonnet plus 1. Its strength, dex, and attack boost that you get on path B is the best option to choose here for your damage. You can get the Jovian Aberration head off of Yilan, and the Jinxed Bonnet off the auction house for right now about 25 million gil. Now, when you are in a party buffed situation, and attack is no longer a concern, the Kendatsuba Jinpachi plus 1 will end up being your best in slot option thanks to its high dex of 47. You can get this off the auction house for 35 million gil. Now the next slot is another area that we have a difference between the two different setups. In our trust buff setup, you should use the Fosha Gorget. That'll add 0.1 FTP and make sure your TP is not depleted on weapon skill use 1% of the time. You can get it from the In the Name of Science quest. Now, if you have all of your buffs capped and you're in a party buff situation, instead you should be using the Ninja Notawa plus 2. It gives you a dex boost of 15 and increases your physical damage limit by 10%. You can get it off the auction house for 70 to 80 million gil. Now in regards to the left and right ear slots, we actually have the same best in slot options regardless of situation. In one of the ears, you're always going to want the Lugra Earring plus 1. This will give you a Strength 8, Dex 8, and double attack bonus of 1 to 3% from dusk to dawn. And if you augment it through Odyssey, you get an additional 20 defense on it, and most importantly, 8 strength, dex, vitality, and intelligence. Now, for your other ear, it's going to be dependent upon the time of day that it is. If it's during night or from dusk to dawn, you want to go ahead and wear that Lugra Earring, and it's going to give you the best overall DPS. It gives you a strength boost of 7, a dex boost of 7, a double attack boost of 1 to 3%, and you get this immunity just like the plus 1. Now if it's not dusk to dawn, and it's during the daytime, you definitely want to use the Odor Earring. This will give you a dex boost of 10, and you can get this with 1000 domain invasion points. Next, let's go over the body slot. Now here, there is also a best in slot clear winner for any situation, and it is the Adamar Jacket plus 1. With its base dex boost of 33, and choosing path B to give it an additional 12 dex, is definitely our best in slot option. Now you can get this by getting the Jovian Abjuration body off of Bekit, then also mixing that with the auction house Jinxed body that you can get for 25 to 30 million gil. Now another option here is to do the Kendatsuba Semu, and it's not quite as good in damage, but it is fairly close. It gives you a dex bonus of 39. Now if you use this in your trust setup, you're going to lose 59 DPS over using the Adamar Jacket, and if you use it in your party setup, that attack's not going to come into play nearly as much, and therefore you're only going to lose 17 DPS by using this over the Adamar Jacket. Next, let's go into the hand options. Now here's where we have another difference between the trust and party setups. For our trust buff setup, we want Adamar wristbands plus 1 for their 44 natural dex, and if you use path B, you get an additional 12 dex and 20 attack, which allows them to pull ahead. You can get these off of Parathos and Eshen Rowan. Then you have to actually marry them with the 20 to 25 million Jinx wristbands in order to uncurse them. Now if you happen to have capped party buffs, you don't need that attack. And that's when the Kendutsaba Teko plus 1 definitely pulls ahead. With its 62 dex on it, you can't be beat. You can get this from the auction house for around 35 million gil. Next, the ring slots. Now for your Regal ring, strength boost of 10, dex boost of 10, attack boost of 20 makes this best in slot all the time in either situation. You can get it off Omen from U. Now the gear ring is the ideal pairing for it. It gives you a strength bonus of 10, an attack bonus of 16, and a triple attack boost of 5%. You can get it from the Odin HTMB. Now just only slightly behind that gear ring is the Illibrat ring, with a dex boost of 10 and an attack boost of 25, and you can get this off of Kin in Omen. Now you will lose 11 DPS if you use this over the gear, in either of our two situations described, which makes it close enough to consider, especially if you don't have the gear ring, which can be kind of difficult to acquire. Now for the back slot, we have an easy decision all the way around in any situation, and that is the End Artia's mantle with the following stats: Dex plus 30, double attack plus 10%, accuracy plus 20, and attack plus 20. You can normally use this as your TP cape as well. This will give you definitely the best results with Blade Shun, regardless of what your buffs are. Now for the waist slot, it's another easy decision in any situation, and that is the Fosha belt. It gives you plus 0.1 FTP, and your TP will not be depleted when you use a weapon skill 1% of the time. You can actually synth this through synergy. Now this is definitely the best in slot option, and I really can't find anything that doesn't make you lose at least 50 DPS in both situations, so really just try and get this belt as soon as you can, because this is the best option you're looking for. Next is the leg slot. There's definitely some differences here between trust and party buffs. So when you have trust buffs, you want the Mochizuki Hakama plus 3, which will give you a weapon skill damage boost of 10%. This is definitely about 100 to 150 damage higher in this situation than our next option, which is certainly best in slot when you have capped party buffs. And that would be the Jokoshu Hidate. Now this has a dex boost of 35 on it, and you can get it off of Byaku and Eshin Ruan. And the final slot, the feet slot. Again, here we have a difference between trust and party buffs. With trust buffs, we need all that extra attack, so you want the Ad Himar Gamishes plus 1. They'll give you a native dex boost of 23 and an attack boost of 34. And on path B, it'll give you an additional 12 dex, 12 strength, and 20 attack as well. Get the Jovian Abjuration feet off Sava Savank. Then you can get the Gamishes from the auction house for approximately 15 million gil. Now if you're in a hyper buff situation, you want to go ahead and use the Kendutsaba Sun 8, which has a dex boost of 44. You can get this from the auction house for 35 to 45 million gil. A few final notes. In case you don't know, you acquire this by using merits in the weapon skill group. Each merit increases the dex stat modifier for a maximum of 85% at 5 of 5 merits. Also, if you have the Hishi equipped, you will automatically get the 5 of 5 merit boost and unlock Blade Shun. Blade Shun's skill chain properties are Light, Fusion, and Impaction, and its TP modifier boosts its attack. So it's worth noting that at 2000 TP, Shun gets a 100% attack boost and a 200% attack boost at 3000 TP. So if you aren't self-skill chaining with a Hishi, you can certainly achieve higher weapon skill numbers per weapon skill by saving your TP till 3000. That's going to be it for the Blade Shun video. Next time, I'm going to go over fast cast gear sets. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay healthy, everyone.